Heavy words, native refugee interview, take one. My name is Gio and I'm a native refugee. And first and foremost, actually, I'm a son, a brother, a grandson, and a lover of conscious art forms. I'm from Cape Town, but I grew up in Durban. My parents were divorced when I was very young, so they sent me over there to live with my gran. And shout out to her, she raised me. She put a pen in my hand when I was 6 years old and taught me how to write. And since I was 7.5, that's what I've been doing. It's a blessing right now. I get to make a living off it. Beautiful. It's a poetic thing, yeah. Burdens of the Free. I felt, which is largely why I got into music, man. I felt instead of sitting on the sidelines throwing middle fingers all the time, complaining about the nature of hip hop, the nature of music now, get into it. You know what I mean? I got into music because I couldn't find the sound that I want. And I was like, yo, instead of complaining about it, go in and make it. You know what I mean? It's the responsibility of the conscious people to uplift the rest. You know what I mean? Which is the burden of the free, to teach the people those that are unfree. You know what I mean? And that's exactly why I got into music. I was like, no one's combining hip hop and soul and poetry the way we can do it. So let's be as left field as possible. While everybody else is going that way, let's try and be as left field as possible and make a unique sound in South Africa. 15 songs, yeah, 15 songs, and that's 5, 5, 5. Yeah, so the reason why we do that is because we try to combine the music and the poetry and the hip hop. So to remind ourselves too, we put our tracks in 15 in 3 5s, as in one bar of 5 has to have a poem in it. Each bar of 5 has to have a hardcore rap song in it and a soulful song in it, just to remind ourselves that this is what it is. And I'm a student of it too. When I buy records, I look at the back. You know what I mean? I look at what Drake's doing with his executive producing. How come Jay-Z has, the single on track 7? You know what I mean? I look at that and I study that and I'm like, yo, that's actually a lot of work to the listener. You know what I mean? You gotta uplift the listener too. Because attention spans are shorter. Attention spans are shorter, so you gotta make sure. Shout out to them, man. Andy Lee and Obie the Real. That story is beautiful. We've been sitting on that track for a long time. Yeah, and it was a testament to hip hop, man. Our love for hip hop, and I had to get everybody that loves hip hop can bump to that. You know what I mean? If you really love hip hop, then you're really gonna enjoy that record. And we were in the studio, and all those energies, communal. You know what I mean? You had 4 or 5 opinions on the same song. I think that's how it came out really that great, because it was just a communal feeling to it, man. Shout out to Dilaska, who was the engineer in the studio, helped us out. Incredible, man. Phenomenal time. I wrote that right after my friend had committed suicide. Shout out to her, Amy Lobsher. She committed suicide, and I was like, man, no one's writing about this. No one's telling the kind of stories until it's past that event. You know what I mean? And I felt, instead of looking around for someone to write it, get up and write it yourself. And that influences the art too. And so what I did, instead of talking about one suicide victim's story, I looked at a bunch of suicide victims' story, what they would say if they had written a suicide note, what they would say if they wanted their voice to be heard. And I rolled those all into one joint, and I said, yo. Conversational rap. Conversational rap. In the sense that I listen to a lot of Drake, I listen to a lot of Childish Gambino, and I listen to myself too, in the sense that, how do I throw in my poetically inclined self so people don't think of it as 2 totally different things? How do I throw my poetry into my rap and make it sound like one unique product, you know what I mean? So I had to bring in the element of it being a conversation more than it being just a rap verse. And that's what I like more about people when they say, it sounds like you're talking to me in a song. You're not rapping at me, you're talking to me. And I can relate to it because it's a conversation all the time. People would rather have conversations, you know what I mean? People would rather hear about that one breakup that went wrong than anything else. Conversational rap is what I'm trying to push, and it's gonna get better. I'm working on a new record right now. I'm in the lab. I'm totally excited about it because we're gonna have more fun on this one. We're gonna have it's less pressure, you know what I mean? Because we recently left the record label, so now everything is self-funded, self-push. You yourself, your own promoter now, your own tour guide, everything. So we left the label, and now we're pushing our own self-funded thing. So there's less pressure. So now we're having more fun. We're bringing in Youngster into the studio, Fonzo into the studio, Dilaska, Andy. It's a beautifully communal feel, and we're having more fun. It's gonna be beautiful. Conversational rap. the first time I heard hip hop was late, but it was Common's B album. You know, the first time I heard hip hop was through Common's B, and that's beautiful. So, because that's who I look at. Poets turn into rappers, Mos Def and Talib. And I get it, and it's beautiful, because that's how people discovered me. They say, yo, that poetry guy, because that's how they discovered me. But especially with my music, I try to go into different things and say, I can actually play guitar, I can actually sing, I can actually rap, I actually design clothes in my spare time, you know what I mean? So there's an experiment where people are like, look, I can actually rap, I can actually do that, and we try to prove that point and get it across. But it's beautiful. People discovered me through poetry, and that's what they know and love it for, and I'm grateful. You know what I mean? People need to bring back that love of hip hop when it wasn't about like who's selling the most, you know what I mean, what kind of records are being put out, the radio, when it's just like, yo, rehearse the songs one day, next day in the studio, and it came from soul. No, that's how hip hop started, I feel. People were like, yo, we have no money, we have no cars, we have none of this. Help. You know what I mean? And hip hop was about the message. And Mos Def does it, Common does it, Khalid does it so well. You know, that soulful feel in it. Shout out to Mos, man. Heavy words, NativeRefugee interview. Cut!